Hello everyone and welcome back to Solve Sphere. So imagine that you were given this equation x multiplied by bracket open x minus x multiplied by x and bracket close. This whole thing is equals to 12. Now you might be thinking that this is just another basic algebra problem, right? I'll use that method or this method to get to the answer. But wait, it's not that simple. In fact, if you try solving it the usual way, there are more chances that you might get stuck. So stick around and I'll show you how to break this down step by step and arrive at the correct answer with ease. So trust me, it's really easier than you think. But here's the kicker. Stick with me till step 4 because I'll show you a super simple method that many videos don't explain. It's an easy and powerful way to solve equations like this, and once you learn it, you can apply it to so many problems effortlessly. Okay, I hope you're all clear. So let's start with our solution. Now, we will begin with step 1. Step 1 is to simplify inside the parenthesis. What do I mean by that? Basically, the whole thing that exists here, let me show you this thing. Okay, inside the bracket, this is actually called the parenthesis. Okay, let me just write the spelling for you. So this thing is basically called the parenthesis, and first of all we are going to solve it inside the bracket. Okay, now let's start by looking closely at the expression inside the parenthesis. Okay, you might think it's just simple subtraction, but remember the rule Demas. We've all studied that in basic mathematics, and it states that multiplication comes before subtraction. So inside the bracket, first we have to multiply x multiplied by x and then subtract the thing, or whatever we would do. Okay, so x multiplied by x, this thing is equals to x squared. Now let's write our simplified equation, that is x multiplied by x minus, and x square comes here, so this is x square. Okay, now our equation looks like this. This whole thing is equals to 12. And now we've just simplified the term inside the parenthesis to x square, and this will help us in the next step. Just stick with me and I'll show you how. So step number 2 now is to distribute x, or multiply x with the whole bracket. I mean, first multiplying x by this number, and then we'll multiply x by this number, and in this form we would get rid of the brackets here from the equation. Okay, so this would be x multiplied by x, this thing equals to x square, and the second thing, that is x multiplied by x square, that is this thing, and this is equals to x cube. I'm showing it to you step by step so you don't get confused at any point. So this thing gets equal to first x square, and then the minus sign in between, take care of that, minus x cube is equals to 12. Now this is our equation that we have arrived after step number 2. Okay, now step number 3. Step number 3 is to rearrange the equation. How to rearrange it? Let me show you. The thing is that what would we do here? We would do that we would bring 12 from the right hand side to the left hand side. Okay, at here it is positive, and when it comes to the left hand side it would become eventually negative. How would this help us? This would help us because whole of our equation would now be on the left hand side and equals to 0. Okay, so we could apply the theorem which I said to you earlier, that I'll show you a secret tip to how to solve these types of questions. So now x square minus x cube, and as 12 moves here, hence the sign of 12 changes to negative. So this is equals to minus 12 is equals to 0. Now we have the whole equation on the left hand side, and now the equation is ready to solve. Now let's move on to step 4. Okay, so as discussed, now that we have the equation, and now I'm going to tell you the kicker. Basically we are going to solve this by something that is called the rational root theorem. Now the first thing that would come to your mind, that what is basically this rational root theorem. So let me first explain it to you. The rational root theorem basically tells us that the possible values for x, or the solutions, are basically the factors of the constant term. Let me highlight the constant term, are basically the factors of the constant term divided by the factors of the leading coefficient. Okay, the factors of the constant term divided by the factors of the leading coefficient. When we multiply the factors of these both, hence we get multiple values. Now, in most of the videos you see, if at this point people would ask you to just guess any random numbers between 1 or 10, apply all of these numbers to this equation, and then you'll get the final answer. Okay, or if you don't get the final answer from this 1 to 10 range, then they would ask you to go from 10 to 20. Okay, that's just a waste of time, because you are going to try multiple numbers, and eventually if you still don't get the answer, then you will try equations, formulas, and everything like that. But this rational root theorem excludes you from all of these hinders. Okay, so in our case, let me explain it to you. Our leading coefficient is negative 12, our constant term is negative 12, and the leading coefficient is negative 1, which is x cube. Okay, so let's start first by finding the factors. Let's discuss. So we know that the factors of the constant term, that is 12. Let me discuss the factors of 12. If you're still not clear with the rational root theorem, wait, I will explain it step by step. So 12 comes through 1 multiplied by 12, 2 multiplied by 6, and 3 multiplied by 4. So all of these occur vice versa. But here's the kicker. This is 1 into 12, okay? But this thing today we have discussed that basically the factors of positive 12. In our case, the constant term is negative 12. Hence, the factors here would be basically, for example, how can you come to negative 12? That could be negative 1 into 12 or 1 into negative 12. Both of these solutions would eventually lead to negative 12. Hence, our constants could be either positive or negative 1 or positive or negative 12. That's the point here that I want you to understand clearly, because this is a thing that we only tried with 1 and 12. Now if you applied the same thing 2 and 6, we would get two factors more, and that are plus minus 2 and plus minus 6. Along with that, if we applied the last one, that is 3 and 4, we would get two factors more, that is plus minus 3 and plus minus 4. So this was basically the rational root theorem that we would use to find out the possible factors. Now, how many options are you left with? 2. Let me just calculate. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You have 12 numbers only, and now you can just apply these 12 numbers each and every time to the equation. Check whether they suit with the equation, and the one which gets the left hand side and right hand side equal, that is the correct answer. You don't have to guess any random numbers, because the answer would eventually come out from all of these factors. Okay, so no extra work. Any extra work has been excluded through the rational root theorem. These are just 12 numbers, and I'll guarantee you that most of the time on the third or the fourth one, you get to your answer. Okay, but these are the factors that you can use, and the answer would eventually come out of these. Okay, so now let's start applying the factors. So now let's begin with our step 5. And step 5 is to just test the possible roots. That is, let's first try by taking the value of x equals to 2. Okay, we'll try with x is equals to 2, and the equation we have here is x square minus x cube minus 12 is equals to 0. We'll substitute the value of 2. So this is 2 squared minus 2 cube minus 12 is equals to 0. This is 4 minus 8 minus 12 equals to 0, and this is 4 minus 8 minus 12 gets 20 is equals to 0, and minus 16 is equals to not equals to 0, hence x is equals to 2 is not our answer. Let's try out this one with x is equals to negative 2. Okay, so now let's test with x is equals to negative 2. Let's apply this in our equation. Negative 2 the whole thing squared minus negative 2 the whole thing cube minus 12 is equals to 0. Let's try it out. Negative 2 square is 4, and minus minus we get a plus. Here is 8, and minus 12 is equals to 0. So 8 plus 4 eventually gets us to 12, minus 12 is equals to 0, and yes, 0 is equals to 0. Hence we have got our final answer, and our final answer is x is equals to 2. X is equals to negative 2, sorry. So this is the value of x that we have come out, and I hope you would have understand all of this work. X is equals to 2, minus 2 is our correct answer. So let me tell you just a conclusion in the simple words, that when we apply the rational root theorem, the degree of the equation, in this case the x cube term, tells us that we are solving a cubic equation. This means there are basically there are 3 roots or solutions or for x. Okay, so now the coefficient of x cube here was negative 1. It affects the possible roots because we divide the factors of the constant term by the factors of this coefficient. So I hope that everything till this point is clear. So by using the rational root theorem, we didn't have to guess any random numbers, and we used the factors just to calculate the answer of x. I hope this method makes sense to you. The rational root theorem is a super helpful tool that lets us solve equations more easily without guessing. If you enjoyed this step-by-step breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe for more easy to understand math problems. Thank you very much.